Hello everyone and welcome back to the Villainous Gaming YouTube channel, and in today's video we're going to be discussing our CDL tier list right before the Major 4 qualifier matches. Thank you for watching and please leave a like and a subscribe.
It's not going anywhere. Like, they can be a great, like, skill-wise, they're all great players, but, like, in the team dynamic, it's like, they're just not putting it together, right?
Okay.
But C's fun.
So, I guess we'll move them around when we get other teams in. So we all agree C, and then we'll see where C. Alright. So then, my least favorite team, we got Florida.
Yeah, what's wrong with Florida?
Florida is, I don't know.
D tier? You're cat.
I think they're like the last C tier team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are making a change, but I mean, we really can't judge them on that.
Foresee that.
Yeah, this is all based off the last major, so I would say bottom C.
You take Awakening off that team, they're a D tier.
I don't know. I feel like Awakening, it kind of just plays for kills. I mean, his stat line's like he has like 10 stats, and this team lost by like 50 points. So I mean, it depends, but
this is like let me tell you, I feel like Florida has those days, like, they can either be the best team in the league or they're literally the worst. Like, it's never in between. Like, when teams are playing Florida, they need to be like ready, because Florida can take a series any day of the week, and you just never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
But I can agree C. Maybe not the last seed. I think they're a little better in Boston right now, but
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, right now maybe, but like
their peak is higher.
Heading into the qualifiers, I think Boston has higher potential than
yeah. Honestly. I mean, I agree. It's just because they're switching somebody, so we really don't know.
And there might be a role change too, so.
Yeah, and I mean, Boston might make a move. I mean, they haven't announced anything, but you never know. I've heard things that they might, so. Oh boy. So, are we good with that so far, or are we moving on to Gorillas?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright, so at first I'm like, maybe D tier for them, but I'm thinking if we have beat near C, they can be last C or first D, in my opinion. But, like, I mean, they won an event, but I think that was just, a good tournament. I don't think they're...
It was a great tournament, but their team chemistry tends to be off.
Yeah.
Their search has high potential.
And without the Volk, I think they're D. I mean, with the Volk getting banned, like, obviously didn't pull through. Well, I wouldn't even fully blame it on Spark. I think it's the whole team. Like, they're not clicking together.
Yeah.
And
Spark's gone, and they just don't even look any better, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're on Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, this one is...
They're definitely a B to
B to C.
B to C.
Probably low B.
I think they're
they did
B
really,
or higher.
I mean, really good this last event.
I can't put them higher than B.
No, they can't. They can't go higher than B.
They can't go to A yet.
They got 4th, but I mean, they beat Optic with a sub. They did it pretty good compared to what they have been doing, but I don't think they're like that much more improved, honestly, than they were. I mean, Kenny still doesn't drop great numbers. I mean, when they played Ultra, they did pretty bad. Honestly.
It's.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
People are forgetting, though. Kenny might not be dropping great numbers, but he's the entry SMG, hands down the hardest position in the game. Like,
it is.
So, I mean, when you're playing against those greater players, you're not always going to drop the greatest numbers. I mean, sure, was it not a great tournament for him? If he would have turned up a little more, they could have placed higher. But I mean, placing fourth to what they were going 0-5 in qualifiers, and then getting like top 12, top 10, possibly in the lands. I mean, I think the roll swap's doing well for him personally. I mean, I agree. I think they're B. I don't think they haven't done enough to prove that they're above that. But yeah,
Yeah. I'm with you.
All right. So another London
Ravens.
yeah, they're
That's an interesting one.
in my opinion,
Ooh.
they're the lowest C. I don't think you can put them above Florida or Boston.
That's tough.
Because
I mean, yeah.
Gizmo's back, but like once again, Florida's getting rid of Dave Patty, but I don't think we can go off that. I mean, they could still suck, you know.
What? Oh my god. I don't know. Gizmo brings a lot to Zero, Afro, and what's his name?
Nasty.
Nasty, yeah. He brings a lot to them.
I mean, I agree, but like Major 2, they had him, and they still got 12th, didn't they? I think they got like first rounded. From what I remember.
I personally think I don't think they're better than I think they're probably C. Just personally, just last major was pretty crappy for them. I mean, they beat New York, which just won the Pro-Am, but like New York also got 3-2 by Sturge, which ended up winning the tournament, which wasn't so bad. But then, I mean, they only beat. I mean, London. I just don't think that's great. And then they just got slaughtered by Optic.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're good. Personally, see.
Any arguments?
I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So Rocker, right away I'm thinking they should be A. I don't think they're the highest team in A, but I think they should be in A.
Maybe like a low A.
Yeah, I think they're probably the lowest.
A low A or a high B.
I feel like they're not on the same tier as LA. Like I feel like they're much better than LAT, in my opinion. Like they seem more consistent. They seem more. I don't know. Like I feel like if I had to pick between the two to win, I would pick Minnesota right now.
More than likely. Yeah.
I don't know. I personally, I mean, they did good in the qualifiers. Give it to them, but first of all, LA 3-2'd them. They had the first seed. They had everything going for them. I mean, they had the momentum. They had everything going for them. Get 3-2 by LA. And then get 3-0'd by Ultra, which was in the lower bracket. Was like no higher than 9th seed.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, Ultra's probably one of the higher teams right now. I mean, they seem to have figured everything out. So I don't know.
And you gotta also think too, Minnesota is still. They just brought in Havoc. That's just now at the main AR position, which is completely different from his, past or what he did. And but you also gotta look at the games they had against Ultra. Those games weren't landslides by any means. Those were pretty close maps.
Yeah, I mean,
I personally, I mean,
I agree.
I don't think they're. I just don't think they're. Don't think they're A tier personally. I mean, they did do good in the qualifiers. I mean, heck, they 3-0'd FaZe, which arguably the best team in the game.
Yeah.
Arguably. And I mean, yeah, they barely beat Ultra in the qualifiers, but I mean, they had the momentum. They had everything going for them. I mean, 5-0, after the last match they played, 3-0 face. Like
Yeah.
that, if that isn't a momentum booster to get you at least the first round win, and to lose both matches, I mean, it's just
I mean,
I just can't put them ahead.
how often have we seen a team go 5-0 and do well in the tournament? Because everyone
Probably last year, Cold War.
5-0, aside from Atlanta FaZe that have went 5-0 and went all the way to the grand finals.
Did they?
Outside of that, we haven't really seen a team do well in the tournament that has.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think just because they didn't really prove themselves on land, I think B is fair, honestly, based on where they were at.
That's fair.
I mean, we can just, Paris is just bad. I don't think anyone's gonna debate that. They're D tier. If there was an F tier, I'd put them in it. They can't compete. I mean, Temp is the only reason they get kind of close in some of their games.
I'll say it once and I'll say it again. Get my man Temp some help. He needs some help, bro. Like, dude's out here doing it all, and John's playing like trash. Like, no offense to him, but like he is not doing good.
No,
Like
John looks bad right now.
He's got to step it up.
And there's like all these challenger players that could probably sub in, but it's like nobody wants to go to Paris. They're pretty much like a dead team. I don't think they're going to be able to build a decent roster unless they, next season they're going to Vegas. But unless they switch like ownership groups, I don't think they're going to ever be competitive, honestly.
What players do you think they should pick up to like really compete?
Like right now,
I had some ideas. Yeah, I have some ideas.
I don't. Other than like, which I mean, like Clayster's down in challengers, but he never does that. He even already said that. So I don't know. Honestly, I'm trying to think of good SMG talent to replace John. And I know there's a bunch, but like, who would improve Jimbo and Gravity's gameplay to, match Temps? I don't know.
Not very many.
I know they don't have the money for it. Well, actually, I don't know if they have the money. I don't know how. So I can't speak on this relative to what they can afford and what they can do and what they can't do. But personally, drop everybody but Temp. And just build around that. I mean,
they kind of gotta wait till next year. Oh yeah, Neptune.
Yeah.
I mean,
Scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a bunch that I could say that would benefit Temp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, personally, on playstyles, I don't know how they would work. I would have to see. I mean, obviously they're going to test that, but like that would be crazy.
Well, okay, so Neptune tends to, I mean, especially in S&D, he tends to flank a lot. He's kind of like a Zuma-ish kind of player. And with Scrappy, I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of his gameplay, but he's fairly aggressive in your face SMG. You know, so I feel like they'd have a lot of peace with their team, especially since Tim's also somewhat fast for flex.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know if that would, like Paris. I don't think they want to spend money, honestly. So, and I don't think either of those players would go to Paris unless they like had no other options. And like Scrappy's already signed to Ultras or sub. I don't think he'll get on a team till next year, honestly. But I mean, like if you were to make a, I don't know, like a fantasy roster, maybe. But like realistically, I think Paris is just accepting their loss. I don't even know if Temp will play the rest of the year. I mean, he should, honestly, but he was about to not play the last qualifiers from, remember, they were leaking, so I don't know. I think they're ready to just chalk it up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess speaking of chalking, teams up. NYSL, where do we put them? Because, I mean, I feel like if you're not putting Minnesota in A, you can't put NYSL in A. Because their season's pretty much chalk. They haven't won a match. I don't even think they won they might have won a map in a major, but they've definitely not won a match. So
they've won a map, but
yeah,
it's just pretty chalk. I mean, my man Paco needs some help. Paco's crazy talented, but like sometimes it feels like he has to do it all for him, and he's so young. Like he needs some help.
yeah, he does.
Someone's got to do something. And I mean, the pro-am looked promising. I really thought they could pull it together, and then they ended up they did good in their first qualifier match against Boston, and I thought that was going to be hopeful because Boston was looking pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of went downhill from there, man.
I mean, they didn't even look. I mean, they looked better in qualifiers, but I don't think they looked particularly good.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, do you think like Minnesota, LA are on the same tier as New York, or do you think they should be C? Or do you think we should rock her up?
I got Minnesota higher than New York and LA Thieves.
Okay.
But I also got New York as they are presently constructed at the moment higher than LAT. But that's just because of their ability to adapt to certain teams, but not all teams.
Well,
LA kind of struggles with that.
I mean, I feel like though it's like if they can't even win a match on land, like in my opinion, LAT's a much better. Like if they get on land and they get hot, I think their potential is much higher than New York's, honestly. Because I mean, New York hasn't even proven anything yet. I mean, they can't win a land match other than the program, which is completely different.
The potential is where you kind of have to base it off of what you the eye test sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but
I just personally can't see them at a B tier. I mean, I personally don't even see them better than. Better than the C2 teams, honestly, right now. Is like they're struggling, and sure, they were doing okay in the qualifiers, but obviously they didn't do good enough to make winners. So they didn't do that good. And then not only that, I mean, they got 3-1 by London. Like, I mean, they didn't do anything impressive. I believe they won the S&D against London. Maybe, I don't know. It was either the S&D or they won the first hard point and then proceeded to lose all three maps. So I personally, I mean, we can put them. We can let it slide in B, but I personally just would not set it B. I don't. I mean, they're just struggling.
Yeah.
Would you have Boston higher than them?
No.
I think Boston's struggling more now.
I currently have. If we're doing on current stats and just current ability right now, I have Boston in D technically, just how I'm putting it. But I mean, yeah, I think I don't know. It's pretty close. Personally, it's either way, it's pretty close. None of them are. Neither one of them are doing much of anything at all right now.
Right.
Alright. I mean, I feel like this is the most fair right now as far as these teams. Like, with New York being the last team in B, I don't think they could go much higher than that, honestly. And I don't know if I'd put them in C just because of their potential, but I mean, here's Seattle. I personally don't think they belong. Yeah, I don't think they belong in S, in my opinion.
No. They had the potential to, but
I mean, yeah. I do feel like, I mean, looking back, last major, they actually were in a good spot to make the finals until Matt got sick. So they may, I don't know, I feel like they're a very good team. Like, obviously, they just beat FaZe twice.
Their teamwork and their ability to counter is one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I think Surge has always had the potential. I think Civ and Pred are absolutely nasty, and accuracy being clutch. I think it really works for them, and Mac as well. They really have potential. I think it took a little while for that potential to really hit.
Mm-hmm.
To
Well,
really,
you also got to think you got 2 rookies.
yeah. Exactly. So I think they have the potential. I definitely don't think they've proven themselves to be S tier worthy.
No, I don't think so either.
They make a lot of mistakes in bad times and puts it in a harder position for them personally. But I mean, if they keep going like this, I mean, S tier, and it's a potential. They could potentially win champs personally if they can keep it going. Though that's just
Oh yeah.
they're just a really good team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I guess with that, like, my question, where do you put Toronto? Like, would you put them below Seattle or in front of them? Because, I mean, personally, for me, I feel like they didn't win like Toronto, but they showed like that they are not dead.
They're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I think they're a team that's just going to have a rough start to Call of Duty. Because you think back on Cold War,
Mhm.
they did.
Yeah, that's true.
But they tend to. But with teams like that, they can be kind of a wild card type of team, and naturally they're really good together.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't put them higher than Seattle. I mean, but they had a great run last major. I mean, started in the losers bracket first of all, 3-1 Paris, 3-0 Rocker. I believe they 3-0 Florida as well, and then end up 3-1 Thieves, and then they made a couple of mistakes that they shouldn't have, and should have beat FaZe, but they
Mhm.
didn't. Of course, it just didn't happen that way. But
Yeah.
I mean, they took them to map 5, I believe. I believe they got slaughtered in the search and destroy. I do not remember
Against
quite,
FaZe, yeah.
but
Yeah, they did.
um, I mean that's a pretty big run. But I don't think they're better than Seattle right now. I think they have the potential again, like back in Cold War. They have the teamwork to do it. I just think Cold War complemented that teamwork more than Vanguard does. So
yeah, the slower pace versus the fast pace
yep.
gameplay. That tends to be how the slow pace Call of Duties are anyway, because they're more about positioning and pinches and teamwork. The Vanguard, the pinches really do work and all that, but it's a lot harder to set it up because of this more fast time of kill and just the faster gameplay and more ego chows than Cold War has.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I feel like I don't know if they're gonna, Aches predicts they'll win the champs this year. I don't think they're gonna get to that form by the end of the season, but I do feel like they're gonna be a contender when it comes champs time.
Top
Honestly.
6 easy,
Yeah.
depending on their bracket.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
The standings right now, putting them at the standings right now, they're fifth. So they would, if they, is it the top 8? Just make it to champs this year.
yeah, top 8.
Mhm.
So they're gonna end up playing London. So they're sitting pretty good right now because London's not looking too great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but a lot of things can change. They have at least everybody's got 5 qualifier matches coming up. and then we got the New York major as well. So it depends, and then they got to keep this form. They really do. They don't keep the form, and they end up playing phase. It's not gonna go pretty for them personally. Not in their first match.
Let me ask you this: how do you think they improve?
Like
How do you think
what
they
they
get
did.
over that?
I don't know. I mean, they're not going to make a roster change.
They can't make a roster change.
No,
I
they
personally don't. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I personally don't think they play with enough confidence on their first matches. I really don't. I think they have slow. I think because of how they were so good. I mean, they started off winning the showcase tournament this year, and they had high hopes really, and then it just got pummeled. It really did. They got pummeled, and they weren't doing good. They continue to not do good, and they have some sparks of light in them, but I think with all that, I think the confidence was like just destroying them. And I think in this tournament, this last major particularly, I think they really just said, "Hey, we really don't got nothing to lose right now. Just go out and do it." And that's what they did. They really went out and showed that they're still alive, they're still breathing. So, I mean, we'll see come champs time, but I just don't have. If they play phase the first match, I personally don't believe they'll start it hot.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I guess we're left with S tier
big
teams. Yeah, I mean, they're both
Yeah,
S
it's
tier.
Optic.
But the question is number one, number two. If you ask me, personally, I think FaZe is the most consistent team, but without them winning an event so far this year, I don't know if you can really call them like the best team. But Optic also had a sub for the last two tournaments with qualifiers, so it's hard to see where they're at because I mean, Illy's coming back for Major for 4 qualifiers, but like, will he be, how he was Major 1 into Major 2, or I mean, it's hard to tell.
He hasn't been playing at all, has he? Like,
No, he's been sneaking time.
Yeah, he's been
He's
on
gotta
a
be
burner
back.
account. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a couple weeks showing him playing, so I mean, all he had, like, he got the pus or whatever sucked out. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but from what I seen them post and all that stuff, that it sounds like he's done with the injury. It's more just him getting back to form for the qualifiers.
If Illy comes out like hot,
Mm-hmm.
I think Optic has a huge chance of winning champs. But if not, then it's got to be FaZe.
I don't think even if FaZe are in the finals of champs and Optic are eliminated, I think whoever they're against is going to beat them. I don't know. FaZe won everything last year, and it feels like this year their team dynamic, or maybe it's just this game. I don't think they are going to figure it out. Personally, even if they're in the next two grand finals, if I had to bet on a team, I'll bet on whoever's playing them, and that's not
Honestly,
just because I don't like FaZe.
Honestly, FaZe, the best thing about FaZe is the best team, and I've best team in the game about turning it around mid map. They can turn it around mid map, and I don't know what happens in the finals to where they can't do that, but something definitely happens in their confidence because it just doesn't go over the same, unlike every other match. And as for Optic, Illy, it depends because Major 2 they didn't do too hot.
Yeah, but Ellie had the injury in Major 2.
He did. He
just
did,
played with it.
And I agree with that. I just personally, if Illy doesn't come out and play the same role he did in Major 1, they're not going to do too great. And I really have high hopes for Optic. I really think if they can do it, they'll win the next major, hands down. But because Illy's at IGL, and they really rely on that, and I think that's why they haven't done too much success in the past in the past tournament. They just really don't have that IGL. Prolute's obviously new to the league. And then, I mean, it's like you're missing that important piece of the puzzle.
And, you know, Illy, I mean, they talk about Illy and Prolute playing very similar to one another. And they do. But
Illy's the better version.
Well, it's not full on that. It's more like Illy is just a more natural fit for them.
Yeah.
It's not I wouldn't necessarily say Prolute's better or worse than Illy. It's just I think Illy has the more natural fit with the other three, and Illy also you gotta also think Illy has team like a lot of chemistry with Dashi and Shotzi. You gotta think like Illy's been with Shotzi since MW. Illy used to run with Dashi back in the S&D tournaments back in the Jetpack era and forward.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. I wonder if Illy's got any scrim reps, really, like before like the other day. I'm kind of curious on that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's definitely new points on the map that's been found, new strategies on the map, figuring out new strategies and stuff to do it. As long as they, like I said, as long as they show out, they'll be good.
I think Illy can figure all that stuff out, though. He's one of those players that can definitely figure it out.
Oh, I agree.
I mean,
I short notice.
It's just if he figures it out quick enough.
Right. Like in time to get them to back to the finals. I wouldn't be mad if they didn't make finals for the Major 4 tournament if they're looking better into champs, because I mean that's pretty much all everyone cares about. So I mean, if they like top 12, top 8 this next tournament, I think you'd really be concerned. Even top 6, I don't think would be where you want to be going into champs.
Definitely not. I mean, going into champs, you really shouldn't feel confident unless you're like top 3. Honestly, I don't even think top 4 is really going to cut it.
I don't
especially
think you feel confident at all.
I think top 4 for this. I think top 4, even top 5. This tournament is going to be realistic because of how long it's been.
Yeah,
and also because you got to be realistic about it. Like so you kind of have to at that point start digging further into the gameplay of the team, because I mean it's first they're going to have to get you back used to Illy, and Illy being there, because there are some differences from him and Prolute.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you got to think about Illy coming back in general, and also with how. So I think coming up this Major 4, what's this, Major 5?
Yeah.
Major 4, right?
Major
4, yeah.
Major
4. That's the last one.
No, I think there's 5 majors.
No, there's 4.
Not this year.
Is Major 4.
Yeah, they got rid of the 5th one this year, so.
Well, I really do think that even the top 5 would be fine as long as they're looking well, because they're just going to go hit the books and have a good chance of making a good run at champs.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. It's just,
I just personally think they should I mean, honestly, I'm an Optic fan. I hope they don't win it, because Optic is one of those teams that they get cocky and they settle. I mean, they do.
Yeah.
It's just how they've always been. I don't know why. I think it's because they know they're good 90% or 99% of the time. They know they're good, and I personally don't. I hope they do good in this tournament. I'm an Optic fan, so I really hope they don't win it. because I think if they win it, I think they will settle and get complacent, and that's not what you want to be doing going into champ, personally.
Yeah.
Well, you
That's
also
tough.
gotta look at. You gotta also look at the competition we have nowadays.
That's true.
Like almost any, almost any team within the league could potentially make a really straightforward run,
Yeah.
and this happened in champs before.
Well, I mean, except Paris.
Like, yeah, but like if you even back, I mean back then, like back in AW, no one expected Team Revenge to win that tournament, that champs. I can tell you right now, nobody expected that. They were thinking, and I'm pretty sure they didn't even expect Denial to be the other. No, it was Denial that won it, but TR was the very close second. So, and everybody was predicting Optic to win it, but they only managed, I think, top 8.
Yeah, it was. I believe it was top 6. I think, but I'm not 100% on it.
So
No, it might have been top 8. You might have been right. I don't fully remember.
but if you remember back then, though, Optic won almost every tournament, including X Games.
Yeah.
So, but
They had the GOAT.
But I think these days they have that drive, but I think it's the competition difference now. So.
I completely agree. I think some of it's a little. I mean, sometimes you get a little bit lucky in matches. Sometimes that is. I mean, sometimes luck plays into it as well because so many people are so good these days. Like you do. I mean, it's insane the talent in the league and out of the league too. But I personally think, like, you make one mistake on the map, that can set the whole map, the whole pace, everything, and that map's chalk. I mean,
there's always
it's really hard to recover. Yeah,
especially in respawns. There's such a fine line, but even with SD, it's kind of it's some of it's luck based, especially in the openings. But as far as like, it really depends on, and as far as like the mid round and end round, playing, I don't really base that so much on luck. It's more of those adjustments and who's right more often. Sometimes you get that lucky timing, but in general, it's going to come down to, as far as luck goes, it's more in the openings.
or with this new update, packet burst.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? People are getting packet burst on LAN.
Yeah. I mean,
that's been the case all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worse. It's worse now, according to a lot of pros and even challengers.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they do this.
I mean, I knew like RC had his problems in the finals. Which I mean, yeah, I mean, they were getting beaten pretty badly already, but it was like still, I mean, you don't want that happen in the middle of the grand finals. Like, I mean, you got to get this fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about that, later. But as far as our tier list, does anyone think it's? I mean, anyone that's like, no, that team shouldn't be there.
Toronto should be S tier. No, I'm kidding.
I put Minnesota high B.
High B.
Minnesota.
Yeah, high B.
All right.
Alright.
I'm gonna bring this up, and we can leave them where they're at. But I personally just can't agree with it. I think Florida should be
better than Boston,
at least.
That's what
I mean, we're basing it. If we're basing it off of last major, I mean, come on. I mean, they beat Optic. I mean, 3-2. I know it was with the sub, but they still beat Optic.
Yeah.
And then they lost to the team who won the tournament. And then they got 3-0'd by Ultra, which then again got top 3. I don't think they're that terrible.
You could even
Personally.
argue Florida over New York, to be honest.
I think
I
Florida
wouldn't
over
go
New
that
York
far.
too, but I mean,
but Florida's just, they're not consistent enough right now. I mean, neither is New York, but I feel like the talent ceiling for New York, even though they're probably not going to make champs, is, I mean, much higher than Florida. And I wouldn't be surprised if New York passed Florida after this upcoming major. I mean, like, Florida always seems to do okay enough at tournaments, but, I mean, especially with the new change in Dave Patty playing the way he plays, it's like, if you compare the two teams, I don't know. I feel like
Didn't
Patty
New
get, like,
York should be
drops?
there.
yeah, he did. I mean, I just wanna put this out. I mean, we gotta think like, yeah, they're not consistent by any means, but still, I mean, last tournament better than Boston. They did better than Boston.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
mean,
arguing they should be below Boston. I think that's fair to have them above Boston, but New York, I don't know.
and I mean, I know New York has a higher ceiling to go off of, but they're not breaching even off the floor. I mean, that's just my point of view. I mean, yeah, sure, they won that little pro-am thing, but first of all, not every team uses their strats in the pro-am. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
why would you show your strats in a tournament that has no consequence
I feel
to
like
how well you're going to do in champs?
why I have them, why I think New York is, I mean, just they did win a tournament, regardless of what you say about the program. I mean, any tournament is still, I mean, hard to win.
Tournament
All the
win.
teams are there. I think New York, and they played well in that tournament. If you look at it, I think they deserve to be at least higher than Florida, honestly. I wouldn't put them much higher than where they're at, but I think that's
What are
fair.
we talking about, New York?
Yeah, New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That's good for me.
Everyone
All
good
right,
with it?
let's do it.
All right.
Alright everyone, thank you once again for watching the video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content, and we'll see you in the next one.